Hello and welcome to Spectrum TV News at 4. I am Francis Oyima Edet, coming to you live from Uyo, the capital city of Akwa Ibom State. Let's take a look at the headlines. Vice President Shettima presides over NEC meeting. Appeal Court sets aside tribunal judgment, affirms Abdullahi Sule as Nasarawa governor. Plus, Hamas-run Gaza Ministry of Health suspends cooperation with World Health Organization on Al-Shifa evacuations. We will bring you details of these stories and more in a moment. Many thanks for joining us. First in the news this afternoon is from the national scene, where Vice President Kashim Shettima is currently presiding over the 137th meeting of the National Economic Council held at the Council of Chamber, the Presidential Villa, Abuja. The fourth in the Tinubu administration. Today's gathering comes nearly 2 months after the council last convened on September 28 to consider priority areas for the next 3.5 years, including economic stability, welfare and security. In his opening address at the last NEC meeting titled Planning for Stability, Our Agenda for Economic Growth in 2024, Vice President Shettima reminded the governors and other members of NEC that the weight of the tough decisions to rescue Nigeria's economy depends on their cooperation and goodwill. NEC, a statutory body mandated to advise the President on the nation's economic affairs, is chaired by the Vice President with the governors of the 36 states of the Federation, the Governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, the Minister of Finance, and other stakeholders as members. Present at this month's sitting, which is likely to be the last for 2023, are all governors except those of Akwa Ibom, Kano, Lagos, Enugu, Osun, Borno, Nasarawa and Adamawa states, who are represented by their deputies. Away from that, the federal government has said that it is dedicated to extending irrigation projects and reactivating dormant initiatives to improve food security in the country. Minister of Water Resources and Sanitation Joseph Utsev stated this during a familiarization tour to the Anambra Imo River Basin Development Authority facilities in Agbala, near Owerri. Utsev stated that his ministry was looking into new ways and techniques of revitalizing the Lower Anambra Irrigation Project, LAIP, the largest rice irrigation project in the southeast. The minister urged respectable investors to increase their investment in the water industry, stating that President Bola Tinubu's administration was resolved to cultivate 500,000 hectares of irrigable land. We move to the red chambers, where the Senate has resolved to probe all tax waivers by the federal government from 2015 to date, just as it sought cancellation of those not directly linked to non-governmental or non-profit organizations. The Senate also ordered the deregistration of all subsidiaries to the Nigeria Postal Service being irregular and illegal identities, and called for an investigation of the 10 billion naira released by the Ministry of Finance for the proposed NIPA's restructuring and recapitalization. The upper legislative chamber also sought stiff punishment, including jail terms for violators of finance laws. The Senate made their resolution during the passage of the 2024-2026 Medium-Term Expenditure Framework and Fiscal Strategy paper. Move to the Green Chambers, where the House Committee Chairman on National Planning and Economic Affairs, Ishaka Ibrahim, says the National Bureau of Statistics, NBS, needs to be insulated from political interference to perform more effectively. Ibrahim said this at a public lecture to mark the 2023 African Statistics Day celebration in Abuja. He said the reliability of data from the NBS would be questioned if there was any form of political interference. Meanwhile, the Senate Committee Chairman on National Planning and Economic Affairs, Abdullahi Yahaya, said Nigeria had many challenges including poverty, inflation and accumulation of debts. Yahaya added that NBS needed to provide reliable data to convince the executive and legislative of ways to address some of these challenges. In the meantime, the House of Representatives has urged the Nigeria Correctional Service (NCS) to give an account of inmates that escaped from the Kuje Medium Security Custodial Center in 2022. The House to liaise with the heads of the relevant security agencies to produce a comprehensive report on the status of the escaped inmates. The committees are expected to report back to the House within 6 weeks for further legislative action. Reports a member representing Ikono in a federal constituency of Akwa Ibom State, Emmanuel Ukbanwodo, sponsored the motion and led to the resolution of the House. On judicial matters, the Court of Appeal in Abuja has affirmed the election of Nasarawa State Governor Abdullahi Sule. The appellate court also set aside the October 2nd judgment of the Nasarawa State Election Petitions Tribunal that sacked APC's Sule and declared David Ombugadu candidate of the People's Democratic Party (PDP) winner of the governorship election. Delivering judgment, the three-member panel led by Justice Uche Chukwu Onyemenam held that the tribunal erred in law, concluding that Governor Sule did not win majority of the votes cast in the election. The court further held that the governor was denied fair hearing. Meanwhile, the Court of Appeal in Abuja has affirmed the judgment of the Gombe State Governorship Election Tribunal, which dismissed the petition filed by the People's Democratic Party (PDP) challenging the re-election of Governor Inuwa Yahaya of the All Progressives Congress. Delivering judgment today, the court agreed with the tribunal that the PDP's case lacked merit. The Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) had on March 18 announced Governor Yahaya of the APC winner of the governorship election with 342,821 votes. Mohammed Jabrin Barade of the People's Democratic Party (PDP) was said to have scored 233,131. Bade had approached the tribunal insisting that the election of the governor did not comply with the provisions of the Electoral Act. Back here, the Akwa Ibom State House of Assembly Committee on Appropriation and Finance has assured Akwa Ibomites of its readiness to interface with ministries, departments and agencies, MDAs, to scrutinize the level of implementation of the previous budgets of the state and to also work on the current budget presented by Governor Pastor Umoino for speedy assent and commencement. Speaking during a press briefing on the budget presented by Governor Umoino, the chairman of the House Committee on Appropriation and Finance, Dr. Itoritam, noted that Governor Umoino is very interested in implementation of the budget, especially as regards education. Dr. Itoro further reviewed the various plans of the Umoino-led administration in various sectors, including agriculture, security, administration, economics, social, business, and investment, as well as education, amongst others. This is just as she spoke on the total budget estimate of 845 billion naira. Meanwhile, the president of Ibom People's Congress (IPC), Professor John Okon, has called on the President Tinubu and the security operatives to intervene and rescue the 8 kidnapped prospective corps members of Akwa Ibom origin in Zamfara State who are still in the captivity of the kidnappers for over 100 days. He made the call in the Akwa Ibom State capital during his interaction with the media. Okon says that they cannot allow children to be exposed to in-season abduction and killings, and therefore advocated for the NYSC scheme to either be scrapped or reviewed to achieve the main purpose of its creation, which was to promote national unity. He further recommended reform that would allow corps members to serve in their respective states of origin to be put in place, since their security can no longer be guaranteed.
We are gathered here this afternoon for a simple reason, and short and simple reason. One, we have 8 of our Aquabomites abducted in the last 90 days or more on their way to serving the nation. And we're here as a body to lend our voice to the government to do whatever they can within their power to rescue these young men and women. IPC have sent a letter, to the President of Nigeria, President Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. We have sent a letter to the Senate President, Senator Godswill Akpabio. We have sent a letter to the Speaker of the House of Assembly, House of Representatives, Tajuddin Abbas. We've sent a letter, to National Security Advisor, Mr. Nuhu Ribadu. We have also sent a letter to our governor, Pastor Umar Basiena. And in that letter, which I'm going to specify very succinctly what our demands are, and we also want to work again alongside the state government and the federal government in the rescue of Aquabomites that are being held in captivity for the last almost 90 days. Number 2, we want to direct, again, as appropriate, that the Nigerian Army, police intelligence, and other security agencies to facilitate immediate release and return of Aquabomites that are held in captivity in Zamfara State home immediately. We also ask to be directed as appropriate that the government agencies responsible for working collaboratively and sharing information intelligence with families of the abducted corps members to assuage their hurt and heighten their anxiety. We can no longer allow our children to be exposed to incessant abduction, killings in the course of serving our nation. And in that, we recommend a review of NYSC scheme. Again, that's very simple. We want 2 things very succinctly. We want NYSC scheme to be reviewed, and we want NYSC to be scrapped or reform, reform NYSC. Okay? Part of the reform should include maybe allowing us citizens or to serve in their geopolitical zones. Okay? Because of the...
We move now to Africa, where Madagascar's incumbent President Andry Rajoelina appears set to secure another term as he continues his commanding lead in the presidential election, with votes from more than 3/4 of polling stations counted. Rajoelina currently leads with 59.7% of the vote, far ahead of his closest opponent, ex-President Marc Ravalomanana at 13.2% and Steny Randranasoluv-Nyako at 12.5%. Meanwhile, Madagascar's electoral body, CENI, has so far tallied votes from 21,000 out of 27,000 polling stations and is expected to announce the full result on Saturday. The tallied voting stations recorded a voter turnout of just 45%, considered to be one of the lowest voter turnouts in the island's country's election history. Still in Africa, the UN's representative in South Sudan, Nicholas Haysom, has said at least 75 people have died in the past 2 weeks due to violence between rival communities in the disputed area of Abi on the border between Sudan and South Sudan. He called on the government to investigate the attacks and reduce tensions. He also urged community leaders not to use violence as a solution. Report says there have been ongoing clashes between the Ngok and Ntwik community over resources in Abi. Earlier this week, the South Sudan Army was accused by a local leader of coordinating attacks with rival army youth, allegation that military denies. On a foreign scene, Hamas-controlled ministry have held in Gaza is reportedly suspending cooperation with the World Health Organization (WHO), which had been helping to facilitate evacuations with Al-Shifa Hospital in northern Gaza. The announcement came following reports that the hospital's director had been arrested by the Israel Defense Forces (IDF) while evacuating part of the WHO convoy. A ministry spokesperson, Ashraf Al-Qidra, said a WHO convoy from Al-Shifa in the north of the enclave had been stopped for several hours at a checkpoint operation by the IDF in central Gaza. Al-Qidra added that several medical staff had been arrested, including the director of the Al-Shifa Hospital, Mohammed Salmiya. Still on the foreign scene, the World Health Organization (WHO) has asked China for more data on respiratory illnesses and clusters of undiagnosed pneumonia spreading in the north of the country, urging people to take steps to reduce the risks of infection. WHO said northern China has reported an increase in influenza-like illness since mid-October when compared to the same period in the previous 3 years. Recall that China's National Health Commission last week told reporters that the respiratory illness spike was due to the lifting of COVID-19 restrictions and the circulating of known pathogens, namely influenza and common bacterial infections that affect children, including Mycoplasma pneumonia. Reports say Chinese capital Beijing, located in the north of the country, is currently experiencing a cold snap, with temperatures expected to plummet to well below zero by Friday, and the city is also showing a trend of multiple pathogens coexisting. Still to come in the news, Awoniyi out of AFCON with groin injury. To stay with us. Many thanks for staying with us, and now to the concluding part of the news stories. On the business news, the National Bureau of Statistics (NBS) says the average retail price of a litre of petrol increased from 195 naira 29 kobo in October 2022 to 630 naira 63 kobo in October 2023. The NBS, while making the declaration in its petrol price watch for October 2023, released in Abuja, stated that the October 2023 price of 630 naira 63 kobo represented a 222.92% increase over the price of 195 naira 29 kobo recorded in October 2022. The NBS also stated in its diesel price watch report for October 2023 that the average retail price was 1,004 naira 98 kobo per litre. It said that the October 2023 price of 801 naira 9 kobo per litre amounted to a 25.45% increase over the 801 naira 9 kobo per litre paid in October 2022. Still in business, the Nigeria Employers Consultative Association (NECA) has slammed in-season strike by organized labor in the country, stressing that the in-season strikes are affecting the business environment. NECA stressed its refusal to let either the federal government, with its persistent legal disputes, or organized labor through recurrent strikes continue to jeopardize legitimate businesses. The Director General of NECA, Adewale Smart Oyerinde, said this while announcing the third edition of the NECA Annual Employers Excellence Award with the theme Against All Odds in Lagos. Oyerinde expressed disappointment in what it termed government's recklessness through the National Assembly, describing it as regrettable. He urged both the federal government and the National Assembly to reconsider their continuous summoning of organized businesses, deeming it disruptive and unnecessary. He stressed that there are designated agencies responsible for regulating and engaging with such businesses. On our health news, medical experts have raised an alarm over the high rate of antibiotics misuse in Nigeria, lamenting that it has led to a rise in antibiotic resistance. They noted that antibiotic resistance has dire consequences in health and leads to poor health outcomes. Delivering a presentation on antimicrobial resistance and patient safety, lessons from moralities, Professor Mohammed Manga decried the misuse of antimicrobial, which he said may cause resistance. He noted that antimicrobials are among the commonest drugs used in treating human illnesses, adding that infections, especially in low-risk settings, are very common. Meanwhile, the World Health Organization, WHO, says antibiotics resistance is one of the biggest threats to global health, food security, and development today. According to the Global Health Body, antibiotic resistance leads to longer hospital stays, higher medical costs, and increased mortality. In the meantime, a nutritionist, Uju Onora, says poor nutrition in the first 1,000 days of a child's life can cause irreversible damage to the growing brain. Honora, who said this during an interview with newsmen in Abuja, noted that the first 1,000 days from pregnancy to 2 years is crucial for development. She explained that if not given the right foods, it could affect a child's ability to do well in school. Honora also said that stress, trauma, poverty, and violence experienced during the first 1,000 days could have long-term adverse health effects on the baby. On the kinds of food the mother should eat after childbirth, she advised a balanced diet that contains all the food nutrients for healthy growth. These, according to her, should include lean meat, high-fiber foods, low-fat dairy products, and plenty of fresh fruits and vegetables. The Sports Now, where England Test captain Ben Stokes has made himself unavailable for the 2024 Indian Premier League to manage his workload and fitness. All-rounder Stokes, aged 32, is due to have knee surgery before England's 5-match Test series in India next year. Stokes was Chennai Super Kings' most expensive signing for the 2023 IPL, but played just twice due to injury issues. The Test captain scored only 15 runs and bowled 1 over for 18 runs in his 2 appearances for the Super Kings. Still in sports, Nottingham Forest forward Taiwo Awoniyi will miss the 2023 Africa Cup of Nations as a result of groin injury. Awoniyi sustained the injury in Nigeria's 2026 FIFA World Cup qualifier against Lesotho last Thursday. The 26-year-old was replaced by Terim Murphy in the 59th minute of the encounter. The striker missed the Super Eagles' next game against Zimbabwe after returning to his club for assessment on the injury. To entertainment news now, where Ireland-born Nigerian Afrofusion artist Mazi Flores has released his highly anticipated single "Can't Stop My Shine," an inspiring track echoing the sentiment of never giving up no matter the odds. The single is a universal call to action and celebrates the hard-working souls who refuse to let their light dim. As Mazi Flores navigates the rugged terrain of the music industry solo, each verse of "Can't Stop My Shine" is imbibed with the grit of his experiences and the unwavering conviction that every artist's light deserves to shine. Still on entertainment, there was a fire incident at the home of popular singer Dekunle Temitope, better known as Small Doctor, recently. A singer confirmed the incident on his Instagram story today. He stated that no life was lost, adding in Yoruba that when a king's palace gets burnt, it only adds to its beauty. And that's all we have for you at this time. Do ensure to follow us on social media and subscribe to our YouTube channel, all of which you can find on our website, spectrumtvlive.ng. You've been watching Spectrum TV News at 4. I am Francis Oyima. Many thanks for watching and do enjoy the rest of your day.